Hi folks, and welcome back to Booze with Nick. Today we are doing a really interesting whiskey, Ardbeg Uigeadail. It's billed as the ultimate Islay Scotch whiskey. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to call it the ultimate expression of all Islay Scotch, but it could very well be the ultimate expression of Ardbeg. We'll get to that very soon here, right after the wristwatch check. Broke out the Longines for the occasion. I mean, why not? This is a heck of a whiskey. It is no age statement, which is not a bad thing. It's done to give the distillers a little bit of flexibility, and they've made good use of it here. It is cask strength, coming in at 54.2%. So a big whiskey. Doesn't drink super hot. The ethanol is not burning you or taking over. It's not like it's rocket fuel or anything. As you can see, I've gotten through about, actually you probably can't see because of my lighting in the green bottle, about 2/3 of the bottle over the course of about 10 days. I have my notes in my hand here, that's why I'm looking off camera. The neck pour was assertive. The neck pour was frankly in your face. Iodine, Band-Aidy, iodine, good stuff if you're into Islay Scotches, but forceful, Band-Aidy, iodine-y, heavy peat smoke. And that was the neck pour. And there was very little coming through on the neck pour besides the iodine and the peat. There were hints of meat. I have a tasting note here from the neck pour. First impression was of aspirating an ethanol-soaked piece of smoked ham. It did mellow, don't worry. It really mellowed, and it really opened up once we got down to the shoulders and below. And this is an extremely complex, extremely dynamic whiskey. I've taken different tasting notes every time I've gotten into it, which is just, really exciting. On the second pour on the nose, I got a little bit more sweetness. I have notes of vanilla, sugar cookie, some sweet dried prunes, and then I was also picking up something that I was really intrigued by, and that's been constant through all of my tastings since, which is some leathery smells. I've seen some reviews that have characterized it as an oiled leather. I don't really know what oiled leather smells like necessarily. To me, I wrote down that it smelled like a suede jacket that's been in your closet for a long time. You get the idea. Also really prominent notes of tobacco, cigar tobacco on the nose. And of course, the iodine and the peat, which was so forceful on the neck pour, is naturally still present. I mean, after all, that's part of why we're drinking a whiskey like this in the first place. And it's all just kind of coming and going and shifting. You have all these really interesting aromas on the nose playing with each other and I guess interplaying with each other, reacting to each other, taking turns presenting on the nose. It's really, again, dynamic, changeable, interesting whiskey. Pretty consistent, actually, between the nose and onto the palate. Speaking of the palate, let's actually go ahead and get some onto the palate. Wow. So lots of peat on the palate, some of that tobacco on the palate, some kind of fruit sweetness. I don't know if you would want to call it like a dark orchard fruit, prunes, I've called it both of those things to myself on and off during my tastings of it so far. That's there. Little hint of orange oil that comes and goes very faintly, just sort of there for a moment and then gone. Finishes with some noticeable maritime salt, a little brine, not overpowering. It's not like drinking Talisker 10, where sometimes the brine can be maybe a little excessive. It's just there on the palate, maybe mid or back of the palate, closer to the finish. Finish goes on for quite a while, not as long as you would expect, given a cask strength and given the overall strength of the flavor characteristics here. Adding water is always hit or miss for me with whiskeys. I don't know if I'm adding too much or too little. I usually don't bother. I did put a couple of drops in last night as I was finishing my second tasting sample of the evening, and didn't really detect anything interesting or worthwhile from that. Maybe it opened up a little vanilla or honey sweetness on the nose, but it wasn't particularly interesting. To me, just not really worth doing. Although at 54%, you're not going to break the whiskey by doing that. Lots of peat, lots of leather on that. That's what I was saying about how this whiskey is changeable. Even just from sip to sip in the same dram, you're going to be getting different notes accentuated on your palate depending on how you swish it, how long you hold it, where you hold it. Who knows? Any number of variables are contributing to this. Like I said, just a big, interesting, complex whiskey. Really an interesting expression of Ardbeg. If you are a fan of Ardbeg 10, then this probably is worth shelling out for. It was about $90 US at my, corner liquor store. Probably something that I will get again, not this year, or probably not until next fall, but this is not my only bottle of Uigeadail. It really is an interesting whiskey. It is one worth exploring. If you are new to Islas, I don't suggest it. If you are new to Islay, or if you want to get into Islay, this is not what you buy to start with. I would suggest probably a bottle of Lefroy quarter cask or a bottle of Caol 12. And if you're not sure if you like Islas or if you want to get into them, then you should drink some Johnny Walker Black or Johnny Double Black. And if you like that and you want to experience more of what you feel like you're getting in the Johnny that maybe you're not getting in Cuddy or Dewar's, for example, then back to comment B, get a bottle of Caol 12. For those of you who are avowed fans of Islay and all of the complexity and all of the challenging notes that you can get in an Islay Scotch, do yourself a favor. Okay, just do yourself the favor. Folks, that is it. I'm not going to talk any more about it. I'm going to drink it and reflect on its greatness. I hope you're all doing great. Hope you all enjoyed the review. Drink well, live well, be well. See you soon.